All right, well, the Nigerian Senate on Saturday reached a resolution, I beg your pardon, rejecting President Bola Tinubu's request to deploy Nigerian troops in Niger to restore democratic rule in the wake of a military coup. Rather, the upper legislative chamber advised the president and the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, which he leads, to explore a political solution to the crisis. Now, President Tinubu had on Friday sought the approval of the upper chamber to mobilize the Nigerian army to Niger Republic to combat the Nigerian coupists who overthrew their democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. In a resolution after deliberating on Tinubu's request in a closed door session, the Senate supported other steps being taken by Nigeria and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to reverse the coup, but rejected the option of a military action in the poor West African nation. Well, I do have joining me virtually to do justice to this conversation. I have Ayobami Ladipo, and much later, we do expect that Murphy Abadoni will also join in the conversation. But welcome to the studio, Ayobami. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you.
All right. Now, this issue between Nigeria, because Nigeria, it's actually between ECOWAS, ECOWAS and Niger.
Yeah.
Today, the ultimatum given to the coupists in Niger by ECOWAS ends, but Nigeria is at the center of it, as Nigeria, as the president of Nigeria is the head of ECOWAS as it is. Now, what do you make? What do you think will happen? What other options do they have now that the ultimatum has ended?
Okay. So good morning once again, and
Good morning.
thank you. I would start by saying that we're not going to war. I don't see that happening. We're not
Okay.
going to war. But is it expected that the president of Nigeria doubles as the chairman of ECOWAS? Is it expected that he would want to intervene? Most definitely. It's like an elder brother. You can't watch your baby brother being tossed around or things go wrong and you keep quiet. It simply means you are irresponsible. It shows a lack of irresponsibility. So, ECOWAS intervention with sanctions, with moves, trying to have the military get involved to send away coup plotters, I don't think is out of place. One thing that we need to understand is it is sacrosanct that ECOWAS would want to protect democracy in West Africa. I think that's one thing. That's a major factor to protect democracy in West Africa. Do we want to go back to the days of the military, or are we ready to throw away the democratic um, government that we have, especially in a country like Nigeria, where we have been able to manage our democracy since 1999? Through thick and thin, are we ready to throw that away? Nothing. No, not for anything. So right now, and if you check, so since you have Niger that is just right beside us, taken over by coup plotters. Before then, you had the same coup plotters take over Burkina Faso, and you're seeing this same thing in among some of these francophone countries.
Mhm.
If ECOWAS folds his arms, it simply means one thing. It means that this is knocking right on your door,
All right.
and it's so next to you.
All right. Now, as I said earlier,
Yeah,
Nigeria is leading this. Nigeria
yeah,
is playing the role of a big brother. Nigeria is the president of ECOWAS as it stands right now. But Nigeria's security system hasn't been at its best for a while now. We've had issues with Boko Haram, we've had issues with unknown gunmen, we've had issues with IPOB, and the government hasn't been able to do much. about it over the years. Now, what then do you think gives our government, or should I say, Mr. President, the morale to think of deploying troops down all the way down to Niger? Bear in mind that Niger is not alone in this. Niger, the other countries around Niger as well, Mali, Burkina Faso, they also have said, look, if ECOWAS comes to attack Niger, we will support Niger. Algeria is also indicating support for Niger.
Okay, so let's start this way. So the question is that we've had some internal security issues. Now, Boko Haram in the north, IPOB in the southeast. More, if you check, this thing started as an agitation, regional agitation. I think I had mentioned this before, because IPOB in the southeast is within the southeast. Their sit-at-home orders is for the people in that region. They are secessionists. Do you expect the military to go there and crumble everybody and make it look like a genocide? Maybe not exactly. They want to pull out and go in the way of war per se. Boko Haram started as the same agitation with the caliphate. It wasn't the same as a war that is facing a nation. Now, the Senate has done well by saying, oh, Mr. President, you have deployed the diplomatic approach already. Let's do more of diplomacy and political approach. Let's not allow the military to go in to restore democratic rule, not to go to war, but to restore democratic rule, because that was even the reason the president has suggested that the Nigerian military should go into Niger to restore democratic rule. And I feel that the main issue here lies with the protection of democracy. It lies with the protection of democracy. Are we saying that the Nigerian military is not capable of handling issues, of handling security issues? I do not think so. We have one of the best military setup in Africa that we know. But I stand on something when I said at first that I do not see us going to war. I believe that there will be several political ways of handling this. There will be several political and diplomatic ways of handling this. Then you now have, so the other part about the Mali, Algeria, Burkina Faso coming together to support Niger Republic. Now, Niger, you're breaking away from your French colonial masters, we say, and you're going this way of Russia. If you want to walk alone, walk alone. Let's see, in another couple of months from now, probably in another 6 months or thereabout, there will be a whole lot of I don't believe there will be a war, maybe the post-coup analysis or whatever, but I do not think that what is happening right now in Niger is the way to go. I don't think it's the way to go. Niger is a poor nation that cannot afford to go to war. Mali.
Niger is a poor nation indeed, but they seem to be getting support from even Russia. And you also recall that some of the emissaries that were sent in by ECOWAS were not even allowed in. They were not allowed into the country.
Now, that's why I said Niger, as a poor nation that wants to break out, to say you want your own freedom, you're breaking out from your French colonial, and you're getting support from Russia. Is that support coming for free?
Well, that's not our business. It's their business because they feel there's a need for it. Now, let's also look at let's take what seems to be the pulse of Nigerians. There's a video that trended on social media, and where I think that came out last week, after Nigeria cut off power supply to Niger. You know, Nigeria supplies them power, 70% or 75% power. Now, let's put up that video. And, okay, well, I understand that we don't even have the video yet, unfortunately. So, but I don't know if you saw the video, but let's, if you did see that video where they had the picture of the president of Nigeria and they were chanting, saying things, you know, basically raining curses on the president. Now, these were Nigerians. These were not the military. So if the people are saying, look, we are tired of political rule. We are tired of democratical rule, I beg your pardon. And we are in support of what has happened. Can we now impose impose democracy on them? Should ECOWAS and Nigeria at the head of it?
Okay. So let me respond to that. I'm glad that you said that the emissaries sent by Mr. President to Niger were not allowed into Niger. So when you send emissaries for diplomatic negotiation, because democracy is all about negotiation and the rest of it, and following due process. The due process is the rule of law. So when you send emissaries to Niger and they do not allow them to come in, are they supposed to come back and sit down while ECOWAS just turn blind eye? Is that not gross irresponsibility on the part of ECOWAS? Now, you're saying that Niger are saying, oh, this is what the Nigerians are saying we're in support of this. See, whatever narratives can be sold to people, especially to hungry citizens, different narratives can be sold to them and they will buy into it at that moment. An hungry man, they say, is an angry man, isn't it? In Libya, before the death of Gaddafi, before Gaddafi was killed, Libyans had good life. But they sold a narrative to them. The West sold a narrative to Libyans, making them see Gaddafi in a bad light. Gaddafi had been killed. Do they have a better life? No. So I'm saying that Niger Republic as a nation, for a poor country that is now being pushed to go to war, what will remain of your nation in another 6 months? Carcass. Are we expecting ECOWAS to fold its arm and keep quiet and say, okay, we have sent emissaries, they didn't allow them to come in. Then we sit down. Then what exactly is the responsibility of ECOWAS? Why was that body constituted? Then the video you are talking about, I said it earlier, you can sell whatever narrative to anybody, especially to people that are agitated and hungry. You can tell them different things to chariots. It is understandable. What has President Bola Tinubu done wrong in these regards? What exactly has he done wrong? Is it normal that there will be sanctions? Yes, there will be sanctions. They gave the deadline.
But you also recall, sorry to interrupt you, you also recall that the sanctions started coming before the talks of trying to talk to them came in. We started
now diplomatic sanctions would come. As a matter of fact, they will be listed so that you know that this is what you're bound to face. Should you go this way, be prepared for this and this. I think that this is an economic war against Africa, using an African nation against itself. Okay. It's an economic war. You're pulling out from your colonial masters and you're still going the way of another supposed strong power in the world. I think the government of Niger, the coup plotters, actually needs to revisit this clearly and carefully. It's all about interest. There's an interest from the side of the coup plotters. And you're not forcing democracy on them. We're just saying that it is expected that as of now, in 2023, the democratic rule will prevail in Africa. Let's not take ourselves back to 1940 something. Because democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people, that allows you to vent, that allows us to have this kind of narrative. If it is a military government, I am not sure that we can even be having this to analyze national issues with personal opinions. I do not think so.
All right. Now, we also know that Niger was colonized by France. Isn't this an affront against France? And if it is an affront against France, France is a member of NATO. Shouldn't NATO step in at this point? Because uh, the rule is war against one is war against all.
Oh, okay. So it is good that you said they were colonized by France. I've said it before. If you want to break out from your colonial masters, I think there are diplomatic ways to go about it. And France is a part of NATO. That is why the United Kingdom and the United States are supporting ECOWAS and indirect support to Nigeria. They are supporting ECOWAS against Niger Republic. Now, why is Russia so interested in what is happening in Niger? Russia is not a part of NATO. They're not a part. My mother used to say something. She would say, where two elephants fight, the grass will suffer. I think Niger Republic just wants to make itself a pawn in the hand of the war masters, which is not what they need right now. They should be thinking of how to grow their economy, how to stabilize their nation, how to, for whatever reason, the growth of that nation should be paramount to them.
All right.
Alliances makes government work.
I'm curious. I'm curious. If you did say that if NATO, France, NATO, the US are supporting Nigeria against Niger by support,
Supporting ECOWAS.
supporting ECOWAS against Niger. By support, you mean we are behind you. Whatever decision you make, if you choose to go to war, we are behind you. Am I correct?
I think there was a public statement in that regard of United Kingdom and US supporting ECOWAS. Not my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in that kind of support, what do you think will play out if, at the end of the day, ECOWAS decides to enforce its ultimatum, enforce by insisting that the coupists step down and reinstate the democratically elected president? What do you think would happen? We go to war. ECOWAS will go to war. Nigeria will be at the forefront of it. If Nigeria is at the forefront of it, weapons will be supplied. Am I correct? Weapons will come in from NATO, the US, and the rest of them, and that will be market for somebody who produces the weapons. Don't you think so?
Okay, so I would start from saying that are we going to war?
Well, you already said no, there's no war.
So when and if Niger versus ECOWAS gets to that level, then that would be another narrative. However, Nigeria is not the only ECOWAS nation. We're not the only nation. We are just we are the boss. We have the chairman of ECOWAS. And I'm sure that even NATO would not just number one, NATO is not calling for war. Neither will NATO throw its own people under the bus. NATO would not throw Nigeria or ECOWAS under the bus. Now, any attempt to go to war is not Nigeria going to war against Niger Republic. It is ECOWAS stepping in. So because it looks like the old media noise has been all about Nigeria and making it look like it is just Nigeria against Niger Republic. We are not going to war against Niger Republic. I have seen the video clearly. I saw it on social media last week. And I stand by saying that this does not hold anything. Now, suddenly, President Bola Tinubu is just 2 months in power. As of today, it's just about 2 months and maybe a week or two in power. And people make it look like for whatever would have been ECOWAS strong points or inefficiencies over the years had to do with the current leadership. No, at least for once, ECOWAS is standing on its ground,
All right.
standing, making a voice to support what it stands for.
All right. So now, why do you think the Senate rejected this request, and what political measures do you think can be taken? So, what measures do you think can be taken?
Okay, so if you read that report, you would see that it was not. I think most of the headlines were wrongly coined. It was not the Senate rejecting what the Senate said. The Senate actually even did praise Mr. President and suggested. So they made recommendations to say that let's still explore more of diplomatic and political alternatives. So, and like I said, democracy is all about negotiation. You keep having rounds of internal conversations and all of the back and forth. It is not military. If it was the military, we would not be having this conversation. The commander in chief of the armed forces would have just given a command to the Nigerian military, go in, invade them, and there won't be any Senate to question it or any parliament to have a debate or give a suggestion to the president. This is one of the beauty of democracy. And this is one of those things that we should even appreciate as a people, as a nation, as Africans. And we can't afford to throw that away.
So now, what do you think will happen now that the ultimatum has ended? I mean, it ends today or ended yesterday or thereabout. Yesterday. What do you think will happen now? Will ECOWAS go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let us place some more sanctions, or let us call the junta and say, let's talk. Now, we don't want to bring in military force. Let's talk. What do you think will happen, really?
So I think that after the expiration, which is about 24 hours now, ECOWAS will still go back to the drawing board. Definitely. ECOWAS will still sit down, think through, look within, check if there are other alternatives, but not just carrying the guns and weapons to just say they want to go to court. It is good to establish your authority. That's one thing that ECOWAS has done. Not just fold its hands and just look like they are helpless or like there's some toothless bulldog. No. So for now, I think the onus lies on us all to just stay calm, be peaceful, and let's stop spreading unnecessary message of fear about a war that would not exist.
So we are analyzing it. We are not spreading the message of fear. We are trying to analyze the situation because, of course, nobody wants war. But if I mean, we are dealing with a recalcitrant coupists who have refused to negotiate, who have refused to talk, who are angry that sanctions have been placed on them, borders have been closed, no-fly zones have been imposed, power has been cut. So they are upset right now, and they have chosen to stand their ground. So, one is wondering, if they insist, if they continue to insist on standing their ground, what then will happen? Will ECOWAS now say, okay, fine, if you guys insist, we'll let you be? Or will ECOWAS now, what other measures will ECOWAS take to ensure that democracy is restored in Niger Republic?
Niger can't stand on its own. Would they ground that country economically? And would they just do the coup plotters, do they want a massacre of the people? Because you're going to war, it means that you're just throwing your people away because of whatever interest that you have. Is it actually the common interest of the people or just what you push to them? They can't afford to do this, even to themselves as a nation. If they could stand alone, they won't need the support of other nations. Now power has been disconnected. borders are being shut against you. Even Niger Republic did shut its borders. They reopened it. It was reopened. So I would just say, let's just watch what happens in another 24, 48 hours and see the direction in which ECOWAS is heading.
All right. Now, if in your opinion, lastly, what other sanctions do you think will cut it? What kind of sanctions will cut it by ECOWAS now?
At the moment, I can't think of any straight away because ECOWAS are giving some major reasonable sanctions, even the no-flight zones and all of that. Then even that, so no-flight zone, so you can't have supplies. The borders are shut. Putting the military on the edge, power being disconnected, and then I'm sure that there might be some very, very strenuous ones that might hit Niger really, which might make them come to the drawing board, make them come to the table to sit and talk and negotiate.
All right then. All right then. Thank you very much, Ayobami Ladipo. Thank you for coming on the program with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, up next on VOP this morning, Chicago court dismisses suit seeking to summon President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's academic records. Now, details in a moment.